Louise here, Louise on the left. Louise was born a man, but is now having hormone treatment to transition to become a woman. Nikki was born a woman and dresses as both a man and a woman, depending how you're feeling, is that right, Nikki, on the day? And both of them wanted to raise their son as gender neutral, so that he thinks of himself as a person rather than a boy. Did I get that right? Have I explained that fairly well?
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, he knows biologically he is a boy.
Yeah.
But we don't want him to have the constraints of a gender yet. We want him to explore both sides of the spectrum and then decide when he's older.
But Nikki, however ideal that may be, are you not creating problems for him? The very fact that you're calling him him,
Yeah.
does that not gender specify him? Because
Basically.
besides, if you weren't calling him him, you'd have to call him it, wouldn't you? And you don't want to be doing that.
I think it's a case of allowing him to express himself. We see it's very common these days for men to walk around in salmon shirts, or some like to call it, it's pink. That by wearing that salmon shirt, it doesn't mean, oh, I'm feeling very feminine today. No, it's just a case of you've picked out a shirt that matches your outfit.
Yes.
I understand, I think, you know, most of our viewers will understand that kind of gender fluid with toys, colours of clothing, you know, so you just say, look, here are lots of toys. We've got cookers and ironing boards, we've got trucks and workbenches, and you choose. And even clothes. But actually, you're just saying if he doesn't feel, you don't want to use the word you're a boy.
No.
But is that not confusing for you? Because I find that quite confusing, because he biologically is born a boy.
He knows that biologically he's a boy.
He does know that?
Yes. Like, obviously in the article, there was a question that, are you a girl or are you a boy? And he replied, I'm a boy. He knows that he's a boy. The second part of that question, which I opened up myself, was I didn't actually say, are you a person? I said, are you a girl, a boy, or a person? Right? Because obviously if you ask a child a binary question, are you A or are you B? They're going to give you a binary answer. If you ask them an open question, they'll give you an open answer.
What about school? He's starting school this September, I believe. How is that going to work for him, if, you know, with his school friends, the gender fluid? Are you concerned that this could set him up for a little bit of interest from the other children and possibly a bit of bullying or name-calling if he can't can't say if he's a boy or a girl?
He can say if he's a boy or a girl. We don't say you can't say that. He can say that whenever he wants. What we say is, do what you want, basically, as long as you're safe. We know that when he goes to reception, that it could form interest. And we've sat down with his school and said, look, he's going to come in a boy's uniform, obviously, because he needs particular support in particular areas. But we've compromised with him. Obviously, he's having, rather than like traditionally boy socks, he's having pink socks. He's having pink.
But that will make him stand out, won't it, straight away? So you say, well, he's got the boy's uniform on, but he's got pink socks that maybe the girls are wearing.
But you know, do you really believe, Louise, that that makes his life better? He'll be a better person for that? I still just don't really get what the benefit of all of this is. And people will be worrying and wondering, are you two imposing your view of life on this 4-year-old?
With our views and the world's views, we understand that when a child grows up, they take their parents' views and they also learn the world around them by having our views and the world around them, their views. We're hoping he'll become more of a well-rounded person.
But okay, I'm listening to you, I hear you. Sarah has just got in touch to say, how about just raising your child to be kind and good? Why does the gender matter so much over those other qualities?
Because, like for instance, toy shops, you go in, everything's very binary. It's either a boy or it's a girl, and there's no cross-section. And to help teach him like better views, we've allowed him to have a broader spectrum.
So if he turns out to be more kind of boy in his outlook, the things he likes to play with, the way he likes to dress, you'll still be happy with that?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're happy as long as he's happy, healthy and safe.
This is a call for an uprising. I mean, if that doesn't summarize how I feel, how most people feel about this, it's just unbelievable. But I can't say anything against it. You're not allowed to speak against this stuff. So why don't we all just say a prayer privately for children who are being raised in these households by these abusive parents, because that's what they are. I mean, it's beating a dead horse at this point, right? How many times can it be said? How many videos can get flagged calling this hate speech for caring about these children who are clearly being abused, clearly being put under mind control from the parents at a young age, or the parents are telling them, now you're not a boy. Oh, I'm not. I have a penis, though. Yeah, but you're not a boy. And you're not a girl. You're nothing yet. And at some point in time, you can pick which one you like better. Huh? I mean, come on already. I don't even know what to say. Look at these parents. Pray for them too, obviously. This world has gone completely mad. I wish no harm on these people. No physical harm, no emotional harm. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings here. A lot of these people are just clearly lost and being influenced by what they're seeing in the mainstream. And that's what's happening. But you know who the victims are? It's the children who are being raised in these households, because the kids don't have a clue. They don't know what the hell's going on. They're going, huh? What? Kid's like, hey, I'm going to go play baseball. And they're like, yeah, but you're hang out with the boys. So they're like, well, you're not a boy yet. Don't tell everyone you're a boy, because you're not. This gender fluid household where you just sit there and you go, this is a woman and a man in total reverse, right? This is a guy who's the woman and the woman who's a guy. Can someone make sense of that to me? That's all I'm asking. Make sense of it. Just even say, which is unbiblical and against Scripture, about men wearing women's clothing and vice versa. But even if you're an atheist and you're somebody who doesn't believe in that and doesn't look at that, fine. You know, that's, you can deal with that on Judgment Day. You know, you can have your own takes on these things. But just explain to me how this makes sense. Even if the dad, right, the one who was acting as a woman, even if he was just like, hey, I like to wear a dress from time to time, right? I mean, that's still, obviously, it's against Scripture. It's obviously just something's wrong, right? But say, fine, all right, this guy wants to wear a dress. He wears a dress in his own home or whatever he's doing. How does that make him a woman? How? He does not have a vagina. He doesn't know genetically what it's like to be a woman. So how does it make any sense to anyone what they're trying to push? Even just take a step back then and go, all right, the guy's a cross-dresser and we could be opposed to that. Well, we should be allowed to be, but the media, society, YouTube, nobody will let us be. Because it's hate speech, right? Like I always say, they can say whatever they want about Jesus and mock him, but if we question any of this stuff as being retardation or mental sickness or demon possession, it's hatred. But even if you just said, all right, fine, take a step back. What makes this man a woman? Even if he wants to play with Barbie all day, even if he wants to go shopping for curtains or whatever, even if he wants to paint his nails, all this stuff which is wrong and disturbing in my opinion. But how does it make him a woman? He's still a man at the end of the day. How does that not make sense to people? These people need prayers. They need help. But these children need our prayers the most because they are being just completely confused, tricked, and they don't have an idea what's going on. Remember, their brains are being developed at this stage. They're learning to read and write, and they're learning and absorbing things like a sponge. That's what the brain does, specifically at an early age, right? As you get older, the brain stops, soaking in as much information as it does when you're young. That's why they go after these children and they create mind-controlled slaves of these children at such a young age. Their brains are still operating as sponges. They can teach them that evil's good and good's evil. And they wouldn't know any better because they're just learning. When you're 30 years old and you already have gone through everything, it's pretty hard to teach somebody the total opposite of what they've already learned and been indoctrinated with for 30 years. So these kids are growing up and they see their dad dressed up as a woman claiming to be a woman and then mom dressed as a man claiming to be a man. And then they're telling the kid who's looking between his legs, he's like, I got a penis. What's going on with this ordeal here? And they're going, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. That's just for you to go potty. It doesn't mean a thing. Right? And they're going to take this stuff out of schools, with health class and stuff. We've all been there. I don't know if they even still do that. But, when you're younger, when you're like in high school freshman year, you get your health class. Right? Everybody laughs. Like, this is the vagina. This is the penis. Everybody cracks up. At the young age, everything's silly when they say penis or whatever. That's going to be removed because they're going to go, well, this is the human anatomy, but just because you have this doesn't mean you're a boy or a girl. But this is just the body that this person's born with and this person's born with, but there's nothing that separates the two. Yeah, there is. It's called a penis and a vagina. But unfortunately, they might as well just put a picture on the wall instead of showing a penis and a vagina. They should just put a picture of the Baphomet on the wall, which is what's going to happen anyway, and show everybody this gender fluid goat with breasts and a penis that they want our society to become. And boy, I said it a million times. I am looking forward to Judgment Day. I just want a front row seat of the destruction of the Baphomet. And I just hope I can get a flying elbow drop on this thing, the steel chair shot, a right hook. I mean, I've had all I can take of the Baphomet. The fact that we got people walking around worshiping this thing, it's beyond embarrassing for our species of human beings. But that's what happens when you have natural-born losers in this world who become occultists and Satanists who are losers. That's what they are. I mean, they're the most pathetic form of life that there is. They worship a goat with breasts and a penis, and they mock the Messiah, Jesus Christ, and they think that they're cool. And they think it's okay to manipulate children, and they think stuff like this is funny, where the parents are teaching these young kids that they don't have a gender, and the kids are watching their parents in drag, pretty much walking around their home acting like that. We need to pray for our kids. I don't know what else to say at this point. I don't wish any harm on these people. But boy, I thought there was a reason that there was white padded rooms in this world, in this country. But I guess they're really just saving it for us, right? The joke's on us. They're going to throw us in there. But the joke's really on them because we've already won the war. So, the Baphomet should be aware of that. But I guess the Baphomet's looking forward to the fire because he's going to be toasted on a rotisserie on Judgment Day for the things that are going on in this world, the things that these Satanists worship, the stuff that they allow, the stuff they push on kids. It's disgraceful. Now we get these parents who are gender fluid, who are raising their kids Britons first. No big deal, right? It shouldn't surprise us anymore. Man, keep these kids in your prayers, everybody. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.